you up for no reason. Yeah, nigga. Yeah.
You move. I ain't gonna fucking break your head.
Out of my face, it's illegal. No, it's not illegal. No, it's not illegal. No, it's not illegal. The fuck out of here.
Alright, welcome to Copwatch Media. I'm Ash. You can catch me at Ash Agony on Twitter. I'm here with a very special guest who's going to tell you basically his story of how he was locked up in Rikers and basically freed himself from his own cell over the course of many years, obviously. So yeah, let's get started. First, tell me who you are, what your name is, and just give me a short recap of your story over the past few years, basically.
My name is Prakash Churaman, and I'm 23 years old. I was wrongfully arrested by the NYPD at 15 in Queens, New York, and in December of 2014 for a murder I did not commit. And from that point on, I was just confined in a cell, waiting to prove my innocence, and I was eventually, railroaded and wrongfully convicted and sentenced to life at 19. And I sat in prison for about a year and a half, waiting a decision on appeal. Got that in about summer of 2020, and my conviction was overturned and a new trial had been ordered. So I was remanded and transferred back from state prison to Rikers Island to await a new trial now. And I sat on Rikers Island for about 6-7 months within the year of 2020. I got bail granted in December of 2020 and bailed out of Rikers Island January of 2021. I was on home confinement for about 16 months waiting on a new trial. And on June 6th of 2022, Queen District Attorney's Office dismissed the entire indictment against me.
Yeah. So let's dig into the details of that story right now. So let's start from the beginning. When you first were arrested at age 15, right, you were interrogated by two cops, Barry Brown and Daniel Gallagher. So I guess tell us, now that you're free, you can talk openly now. Tell us basically what happened during those interrogations. How were these cops treating you? What did they do? And what was going through your mind, being in a room with these fucking cops, interrogating you for something really serious, like a murder charge?
Well, they to start off, they surrounded my residence that I was at that time with my mother, and illegally entered the apartment. Basically, my mother and I was residing in the basement apartment. Illegally entered it, no arrest warrant, no search warrant, and just literally dragged me on my bed at 6 a.m. in the morning on December 9th of 2014, 4 days after this alleged murder took place. These officers came, placed me in handcuffs, and told me that you need to go down to the station, that someone filed a complaint against you. I'm like, what are you talking about? What complaint? I'm lost. They gave my mother some card and said just come to the precinct at a certain time. They literally just drove me around in an unmarked NYPD vehicle for about 3 hours, with the precinct literally being only 15-20 minutes away from where they apprehended me from. And I just remained in the back of this vehicle, rear cuffed. Just thinking why, what's going on? And these dudes just trying to continue to manipulate me and just say certain slick things to me, bro, and then they eventually bring me to the precinct, right? After about 3 hours, I get to the precinct about approximately 9 a.m. on December 9th, 2014. And I just sitting there in the juvenile room, they call it, handcuffed to like a metal bar that was attached to the cement wall for about an hour, hour and a half. Then my mother came. My mother arrived to the precinct, and then that's when these two detectives, you know, had us in this tiny interrogation room, and just started like interrogating me, man, like just utilizing these methods and tactics, bro. That's just like completely absurd, bro. So they really like honestly like psychologically and like physically like just coerced my mother and I throughout the entire process of that.
And I'm like, yeah, what's going through your mind as a little kid, like you're having to go through that too, like.
Honestly, man, I was just like I was in a state of shock. Like I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know like why all of this was going on until I get into this tiny room, and then they start, you know, providing me with these like tiny bits and details and facts about the accusations at hand that I didn't have no knowledge of.
Yeah.
So they fed me the information that they wanted me to you know, confess to. So you know, and on top of all of that, you know, at the time I was taking, you know, a lot of psychotropic and medication for like depression and anxiety. So I was still under medication, you know, and they didn't even allow me to take my antidepressant medication at all, which also, you know, took a toll and effect on like everything that took place in that interrogation. But yeah, I definitely felt like terrified. I felt manipulated. I felt scared, bro. I felt everything you could fucking think of, honestly, man. That ass.
And then after that, basically, you spent 4 years on Rikers.
Yeah, I spent approximately 4 years
Before trial, obviously.
I spent 4 years incarcerated.
What were you like? What during those 4 years? After, you know, this happens after the cops bag you, they interrogate you, and they say, "See, he confessed," and they send you to a cage, pre-trial and stuff like that. I mean, and you're young obviously at this time. So like, yeah, what were you doing in that cell at Rikers? How were you like? Were you even strategizing? Yo, how am I gonna get myself out? How am I free myself? What am I gonna like? What was going through your mind?
At the time, like I was 15 when I got arrested, and like I spent 16, 17, 18, 19, like just detained in a cell, waiting for my day in court. Honestly, like I wasn't equipped with the proper knowledge, the experience at that time to like try to unify and combat against a system like this. I wasn't equipped with everything that I needed at that given moment. So honestly, I went toe to toe with the system, and I maintained my dignity and my morals, but like I said what I said from day one in regards to like this indictment, you know. And they asked me, how do I plead? I told them from day one, I was 15, I said not guilty. And I still stood there 4 years later, waiting for my day. Not guilty, I said I want to go to court. I want to have a trial. You know, I want to have this case presented in front of a jury. I don't want no judge. I don't want no prosecutor to determine anything.
But that was your strategy from the beginning. You're like, yo, I'm gonna just wait for trial. I want my jury trial.
Yes.
And I'm gonna prove myself not guilty. That was the only strategy at the time.
That was my only strategy I had at the time, because I didn't know nobody. Nobody knew of me or knew of my story, my situation at that given time. Were
you I guess studying law in the cells at Rikers?
I mean,
were you reading books? What were you like? What? How day to day? What were you doing? Like, cause like you get a lot of kind of free time in your cell and stuff like that. So like think about this type of stuff. So like, what were you thinking?
Honestly, man, I was like in there. You gotta have like you gotta have a set schedule of what you do, like.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you're just gonna run yourself crazy, like.
Yeah.
So you gotta wake up, just have like either you are exercising or you're doing something, like you have a job in wherever we at, or it's you go to the law library and just start studying.
That's what you did?
And I just chose the law library route, because I'm like, well, I'm gonna just sit here in this unit in my cell with all these other dudes in here doing nothing in my life. When I could just sit here and just start learning about the system, about the penal system, the legal system, and learning about these laws, these same exact laws that they alleging that I broke. So I was like, you know what? Let me just familiarize myself with what I need to know. From that point on, I just started printing stuff out, case laws, criminal procedure laws, like just everything that I could think of that could relate to my case and like help me understand everything.
And then your lawyer at the time, well, how did you meet your lawyer at that time? Who was the lawyer and how did you meet them?
Throughout the 4-year gap?
When you went to trial at first.
Well, I had, for the first 3.5 years, I had a court-appointed 18-me lawyer. His name was Joseph D. Felice. But he let's just put it this way, man. He ineffectively represented me.
Okay.
I was not represented with the proper representation that I was supposed to be, given.
Okay.
And luckily, my case got in the hands of Ronald Kubi, and he decided to take on my case pro bono in July of 2018. So that was about maybe 2-3 months prior to my first trial. And we went to trial.
When you went to trial, Judge Kenneth Holder denied you the right to use a false confession expert. You got found guilty, and Kenneth Holder said that you were lucky that you got arrested at 15, or else he would not see the light of day, and he gave you 9 to life, basically. So yeah, I mean, at that moment, what were you thinking? What was the legal strategy of Ron Kubi, basically, and what were you thinking at that moment? Like, how was you? I mean, the first thing I guess for someone who's not guilty and stuff like that is like, yo, I want to find out how I'm gonna get myself out of this shit right now. Like, what am I gonna do now? So, what were you thinking?
I mean, I was like at that point 19, and I had been detained in a cell for about approximately 4 years, waiting for my trial. And I just had this, well-known criminal defense / civil rights attorney just pop up out of nowhere and take on my case. So I'm like, all right, hopefully I got a shot now. And I don't have, some miscellaneous public defender just working with the system. So honestly, I was like, you know what, let's start our strategy, let's start our defense, and let's just get ready for trial. And that's what we did with the little 2-3 months we had from the time he decided to take on my case officially. But I did that. There were certain things I told him that I wanted to raise. They didn't really want to raise certain things. But overall, bro, the main issue was the fact that I wanted to present one piece of evidence during my first trial, and that was an expert witness that was going to come and testify on the subject of juvenile false confessions. The judge, who was also a former prosecutor from the same district attorney's office that was prosecuting me, denied my right from presenting that piece of evidence on my behalf. Like I said, with the flimsy, bogus evidence that they did have, it was like it was only meant to be. It was right. It was the only right thing to do because it's like I have nothing else. You know what I'm saying? My alibi witnesses is baited on me. Everybody's scared of the system. They see the system and they just fear it. So it's like it's my only opportunity to present one piece of evidence that I wanted to present. That's it. And that was gonna combat and to contest against my false confession that they extracted out of me at 15 years old. Judge denied it, and I was wrongfully convicted by a jury in Queens County, bro. On November 9th of 2018.
Yeah, what were your thoughts after the guilty verdict? What were your thoughts, and what did you say to Ron Kuby? What were you thinking of at that point?
It was in November. Excuse me. I was wrongfully convicted in November 2018, man, and I told him like, you know, he tried his best, bro. Like, with everything that was presented, the government was allowed to present everything that they possibly wanted to and could have. And let's just put it this way, that they went above and beyond the law and did everything that he wanted to. And I'm like, I still stood there, bro. You know, my lawyer still stood there. We still objected. We still did everything that we had to do according to the law. And the jury, with all of that, with the defense presenting no evidence, with the government presenting everything possibly, the jury still deliberated for days, bro. Sat there in doubt. 12 strangers sat there in doubt, bro. In regards to the guilt of a 19-year-old, then 15-year-old child, bro. In regards to a possible homicide. So it's like, even that right there was like, no jury should be sitting here for 3-4 days, contemplating whether we should, convict this guy or free him. Basically, they did. They wrongfully convicted me. I got sentenced to life in December of 2018 in front of the judge. I was sent away to prison, a maximum security prison in New York State. And I sat in prison. I was bounced from like one prison to the other.
Yeah, I want to ask you, what were you doing during those times after the conviction or the false conviction, to 2022 when it got overturned? What were you doing in that meantime? You were going from prison to prison, and
I got overturned in 2020.
Yeah, so like, what were you doing in those years right before that? Like, you were going from prison to prison, essentially building your team at that point too, like building a way to free yourself from a different cell.
Yeah.
Just tell me the details of that right now.
Well, I honestly was just doing a lot of like legal research, bro. Within that time frame of me being like confined in a prison cell, I was just doing a lot of legal research and just like whatever mandatory programming that was mandated by the court that I had to complete. Like, it was minor stuff that I was doing, but mainly was legal research. Throughout my time frame, that year and a half that I was just sitting in a prison cell waiting on that decision on my appeal. The same attorney that did my first trial also did my appeal pro bono as well. So I was just sitting there, just waiting, but also just trying to learn more, So one of the things that I wanted him to raise on my appeal was the same issue that my other attorney ended up raising in June.
We'll get to that.
But
as far as you kind of like getting organizers behind you and stuff like that.
I didn't start that. I didn't start in prison.
Wow.
Nah,
okay.
That started when I got transferred back down.
Your strategy still at this time was like just do an appeal and then maybe I'll get some justice and prove myself not guilty.
Correct. I was just waiting on. I was sitting in a prison cell with a life sentence, hoping that I get a second opportunity to prove my innocence.
Wow. So yeah, which prisons did you get sent to?
I was in when you get transferred from Rikers, you get sent to downstate. That's basically like a classification prison where you just sit there. They classify you according to your sentence, your charges, and all of that stuff. And then they just transfer you from there on out to whatever prison you get sent to.
Where'd you go?
I got sent to Great Meadow Correctional Facility, and I was in there for about 2 weeks.
Oh man, okay, still too
and
much.
I went to the box. I went to the box. I was in solitary confinement for about 2 months. They shipped me out of there, and then I went to Wendy, and I was in Wendy Correctional Facility for the remainder of my time. So I was in there for about a year and some change in Wendy.
And anything that we should know about that time? Anything what was going through your head then, man? I mean, shit.
I was just trying to honestly get by day to day, cause that's how it is in there, bro.
Damn. Okay.
That's the best way for me to describe it. It's just like survival mode.
Yeah.
24/8, 7 days a week, getting by my day, but also just trying to make my days as productive as possible. So, like I said, I had a little job I was doing, but we only get paid like 5 cents an hour or something. But it's something that but I just did it because I had most of the phone time.
Yeah.
But like, I had a job I was doing, and I was going to the law library. I was in way up north by like borderline Canada, so like I didn't want my family traveling from New York City all the way out to visit me.
Your family didn't visit you then?
I didn't want no visits. I didn't want none of that.
Oh man, damn.
So and then mind you, when I got to there, as like COVID had started, so we was all confined and locked to ourselves, so we couldn't really do nothing, couldn't go nowhere. We were lucky enough to even get a half an hour in the yard to like do anything, get some air.
Were people getting sick and?
People was getting sick, man, but luckily I where I was located in the prison, it was that part of the prison wasn't really contaminated with no virus at that time.
And it's hard to catch it in solitary, I'm guessing too.
Yeah, it's hard because not much people coming and going back and forth, and it's just nurses and office CO guards and prison guards and stuff like that.
Can you remember how much time total in solitary you spent?
Man, because I spent time in solitary on Rikers Island.
Too.
Spent time in solitary in upstate prison. Then I came back down to Rikers. So I'll say like a year and a half to 2 years in solitary.
If you put it all together?
Yeah.
Yeah. God damn.
But like, cause it's all separate occasions.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
when you compile all that time, I'll say around a year and a half to 2 years, bro.
Yeah. In
solitary confinement that I spent.
So okay. You go to prison, and then like 2 years later in 2020, an appellate court overturned your guilty verdict because they said that Kenneth Holder should not have denied you your use of a false confession expert. They said that was you shouldn't have been able to do that. So when that happened, when your guilty verdict got overturned, what were your thoughts then? And then how did that change? Did your legal strategy change? Did your strategy for freeing yourself change? And then we'll talk about you changing your lawyers. So what were your thoughts when that?
I was just surprised. I was shocked. I was just happy. I was just I was experiencing a lot of emotions at that time because I'm like, damn, I've been sitting in this prison for about year and a half, just sitting here waiting, all the legal arguments being submitted, just waiting, and then boom. I called Ronald Colby on a Wednesday because that's every Wednesday. That's when the appellate court was issuing their decisions. And on June 24th of 2020, this was 2 days after my birthday. I had just turned 21, so my conviction got overturned 2 days after my birthday in 2020, and I was remanded back to Rikers. So they transferred me back to Rikers from state prison, and I was just there for about 6-7 months.
In Rikers, stuck in Rikers. Yeah.
Stuck in Rikers,
Yeah, tell me what was going through. You're like, I just got my guilty verdict is overturned, but they still send me back to a cage right now. Tell me.
But the main part for me was the fact that I was given a second chance.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people here, facing the system here in this state right here, receive a second chance like that. So I'm like, to have a conviction reversed, overturned, and have a second chance to fight, bro. It's like, damn, you just gotta breathe in and just like really appreciate that, because it's like, like I said, bro, it's rare. It's rare.
So yeah, even though you're getting sent back to Rikers, you're feeling a sense of relief.
Yeah, because I'm like, I got a second opportunity now. This time around, I'm like, all right, this time around, I'm not allowing them to do it. Allowing them to do any of the corrupt stuff that they did throughout the first trial.
So how long did you spend in Rikers at that point, and then how did you get yourself bailed out?
I was on Rikers for about 6-7 months. Waiting for a new trial this was like during the middle of the pandemic. And I just literally picked up this book called Connections, and it's published by the New York Public Library. Every year they come out with a new a new series, and it's like a directory of a whole bunch of resources and like contacts to like organizations and like grassroots led stuff. So I just started picking it up, and they got a section that like where they had organizations and like resources that assist people that are currently incarcerated. So I started just with that section of the book, and I just started calling people, and like literally 1-2 organizations picked up my call. They listened. They listened to what I had to say, and they followed through, and they stuck by my side since that point on. I bailed out. I got bail granted in December of 2020. I got bailed out January of 2021.
Yeah, how'd you get that money? Like, how did you raise the funds for that?
It was all through the organizers, through all the people.
Can you shout them out right now?
Yeah, I'll definitely like to shout out all of them, bro. It's a lot of them, but
Who were those first 2 organizations? Who were the people from the beginning?
Like IWAP.
Yeah.
When I had called their hotline from Rikers Island.
Yeah.
And I got in touch with one of the organizers, Max.
Okay.
But I definitely want to shout out Max. We got Jorgen, man. He was a part of the Prisons Kill movement. And then Jacob, man. He was a regular person.
Yeah.
In society
Who was Jacob? Tell people who was Jacob.
Jacob Cohen, man. He's like my best friend, basically, bro. Like, I met him while I was locked up on Rikers Island. Yeah. He was working there for some program, some organization that had a contract with Rikers at the time. He was working as a music therapist, going around to the different units in the jail, just providing music. And he was known for his sketches. He used to draw a little bit. So dudes like to ask him to draw them and stuff like that.
So these were the people who got down with you in the beginning to...
After I got back. Yeah. But Jacob knew of me before my first trial.
I see.
Like, he met me while I was on Rikers Island, just sitting there.
Okay. And then these organizations, IWALK and
Presence
Kill.
You contacted them after I got transferred back down to Rikers.
Yeah.
And these were like the movement type organizations that were like, this is what they was established for. This is what they exist for. Like, So I was like, let me shoot my shot and see if they have capacity to help me out. And boom, they started just sticking on my side, and I just built this shit up.
And they're the ones who helped you get the bail too.
Yeah, we labeled it.
Wow.
Like officially, Free Prakash Alliance.
Word.
And that's what it was called.
Word. And so like after you get bailed out,
I got bailed out January 19th of 2021. At that point, I was incarcerated.
How much was the bail again, Tim?
My bail was $150,000 cash or bond. 10% was like what, 15.
Yeah.
So
it's not
bailed out of Rikers Island.
Yeah.
January 19th of 2021, bro.
Yeah.
At that point, I was incarcerated for 6 years, 1 month, and 10 days for a crime I did not commit, bro.
And then you were put on house arrest.
I was then placed on home confinement with an ankle monitor, awaiting a new trial. Yeah. Still, but just now confined to an apartment, but still facing a life sentence.
So at this point, basically, you started building your street team, your activist team, basically to free you.
Yeah, I started from like when I was on Rikers Island within that 6-7 month time frame.
Yeah.
I started just contacting, trying to make connections and network with different people, organizations, And the little bit of people that I did successfully get in contact with, I maintained those connections once I build out.
How did you find all these? Like, how did you do that? Just tell viewers like where you were on Twitter or something like that. Where were you going to like find organizations to hit up? Basically?
The book on Rikers Island.
Okay, wow. Okay.
Yeah, the book is called Connections.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's every year. So it's like this year is what, 2022.
Yeah.
So this year it will be Connections 2022.
Yeah. So after you get bailed out, you're at home right now. What's your legal strategy then? What's your overall strategy for freeing yourself at that point?
Was to continue fighting, to clear my name.
Go back to trial again.
To go back to trial again.
Yeah.
To present the evidence, the one piece of evidence that I wanted to present originally in my first trial, in this second trial now. Yeah. Because I know for a fact it would have definitely had an impact on the second jury.
So you changed lawyers around this time too?
Correct. I had switched lawyers, attorneys, around the October 2020 time frame.
So why did you make that decision?
Because of the current lawyer that I had. He did my first trial. He did my appeal. Ronald Kubi.
Yeah.
For free, pro bono. Mm-hmm. And he just, decided that he didn't have the capacity to take on a second trial in my case. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, cool. And at that time, the district attorney of Queens County, Melinda Katz, was offering me a plea bargain. Mm-hmm. So I had a plea on the table while he was my attorney, and he's like, listen, it's either you take the deal or you find a new lawyer and, go on with the second trial.
So he thought your best option was taking that plea deal, basically.
Yeah.
And you didn't agree.
And I said, nah, I'm good. So he withdrew from the case. Mm-hmm. He withdrew from my case, and I had a new attorney assigned to my case through the 18B panel, named Jose Nieves. So Jose Nieves got assigned in that October 2020 time frame, and he was on my case ever since. So from late 2020, all of 2021, half of 2022.
So and that plea deal was basically they would have given you like time served, and they would have like let you out in a few months basically. But you were like, no, I don't want that deal. I want to prove myself. You didn't take that deal. You said I want to prove myself not guilty.
Correct. I rejected the plea bargain immediately as soon as my attorney said, like, listen, this is what they have offering. I said, no, I'm good. I rejected it, and I told him, listen, I want a second trial, and that's what happened.
So at this time, which other groups and activists did you go to for support, and which politicians did you go to for support?
Well, mainly like it was just like the like some of them were non-profit organizations like Drum, Holla, PSL, Vocal New York, and a list of other local to just normal people, bro, that just believed in my story and believed in what I was saying. Mm-hmm. Decided to come to my aid and basically advocate and fight against the system alongside me.
And what did you go to any politicians and ask for support?
Well, the nonprofits and the grassroots, the movement, the Free Prakash Alliance, the movement that was built, that was established throughout the struggle, maintain these connections, and some of them, like I said, already had existing connections with local politicians and stuff like that. So everything literally just like happened, bro.
Because it was surprising that you had a few local politicians who did ride with you. I guess what I want you to do right now is basically say who didn't ride with you, who did turn you down. Like, who did you go to for support that didn't ride with you?
Man, honestly, it was a lot. It was definitely, it was a few organizations, nonprofits, mostly nonprofits, I reached out to personally via email or just calling, leaving voicemails. Never got a response. Mm-hmm. But, that never discouraged me or just, it never told me to stop what I'm doing. It's like, it just kept me to just keep going harder, basically, to continue to reach out and try to establish these connections and networks. with organizations, with nonprofits, with grassroots led, with activists, advocates, you know, people that just believe in how fucked up the system is, bro. Basically.
So while you're in house arrest, you're basically meeting new people somehow while in house arrest through these networks of organizations,
and
activists,
just to myself, because
calling people.
Yeah,
we're doing all that.
Because like I was incarcerated, I didn't have access to no internet.
Yeah.
So now I'm bailed out. I'm on home confinement. I have access to internet now. Yeah. So it's like I have social media. I got things now that I'm starting to work on to try to build a platform to tell the world my story of injustice, of struggle. So that's what I did, bro. But I couldn't do it. I can't stay here and say I did it all by myself, because it's impossible for me to say that. It took a lot of time and just like dedication from people that truly believes in the system and believes everything against the system. Basically, what I'm saying. Excuse me, bro. Believes in everything against the system and as far as the liberation struggle, bro.
So damn, you're in home confinement, just building these connections, building a movement. You guys start having protests outside the courthouse steps, rallies and stuff like that. And you also had a rally, a protest against the Queen's DA herself, Melinda Katz, right? Tell us the behind the scenes stuff behind those protests. You caught her at a Diwali event. People who supported you caught her at a Diwali event and asked her about you, confronted her, and also at outside the office, Queen's DA's office, there's protests. Tell me, what was going on behind the scenes at that time?
Yeah, those were around the late 2021 time frame. Well, just basically, like I said, it was supporters and comrades that was a part of the movement that decided it's time to pay her a visit, and let her know that we're still here and we're still demanding for her to do the right thing and drop the charges. So honestly, bro, that was all powerful, bro. Everything that took place, bro, was powerful, and there's nothing that could really negate anything, bro, that went down, bro. It just went down the way it went down, and it was destined to go down the way it went down. Were
you playing any role in the organizing of this, or just people that you know? Or how are you playing?
I just told them this is what I want. I want pressure. I want pressure applied on this woman, and that's what happened. This needs to be done, because it's she definitely know of my case. She know everything about the case, but she's still gonna choose the political route on everything. You know what I'm saying? So, especially when it's a case with serious charges, they don't want to touch it. They don't want to, especially when this case was never even established or occurred under her administration at all. She wasn't the DA. She was not the DA when I got arrested.
Richard Brown.
Richard Brown was the DA when I got
notoriously dirty and racist DA. Yes. Was the DA when you got arrested, Queen's DA. And then Melinda Katz, who kind of presented herself as progressive, trying to be progressive, whatever, still wanted to keep you in a cage.
Yeah, that's
why you wanted pressure applied to her.
It was a lot of it was definitely, to some extent there was a lot of political stunts involved in all of this stuff, man. Because these people know that their careers are on the line, their reputation is on the line, bro. So it's they know when to do things, how to do things, and when not to do things,
The fact that you guys confronted her at a Diwali event while she's sending your brown ass to a cage or whatever, I guess, was that part of the symbolism and strategy, I guess?
Yeah, because how you gonna be doing something with people that's of my background, right? Yeah. You gonna be celebrating and hosting an event, and this is not an ordinary. It's a somewhat of a religious event. Yeah. In the community of people that I that's from my background, bro. and you telling them that you know you doing all of this good stuff, bro, and this is what you doing behind the scenes to people like me. So it's like, nah, that's a slap in the face. That's just a total disrespect.
And the Indo-Caribbean community in Queens, did you go for them for support, and did they ride for you? Like, what was that like?
Honestly, to a certain extent, certain Indo-Caribbean individuals decided to listen to me, believe in me, and stood by me. And, you know, there was a huge chunk that just didn't care. So I'm like, all right, cool, you know, it is what it is. I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing. I'm not going to let none of that stop me.
There's a local politician, I think her name is Jennifer Rajkumar or whatever. Did you guys go up to her for support? Because I think I saw that, like,
yes,
when you got freed eventually, she tried to, like, big you up. But, like, during the time when you were struggling,
never.
She
never even wanted to sign on. There was a letter that was established by a large sum of politicians, ranging from AOC to Mamdani to like local city council member Shaker Shahana, that signed on to this. When I tell you about 50 to 60 signatures that was on this letter submitted to Melinda Katz, the DA of Queens, demanding that these charges be dropped against me. She did not sign on to it. They asked her, you want to sign on? She said no.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just so like...
And just for anyone who's viewing, Jennifer Rajkumar is a local politician in Queens who's an Indian woman.
Correct.
And also tries to present herself as progressive when it suits her, essentially. So
all of this is just like, you know...
What other politicians did you approach and did turn you down? Can you remember?
There was a lot, but they didn't really want to get involved because of like the case.
Yeah.
I just can't even remember the names, man. I know one. What's his name? He's a legislator, man, out in Assemblyman. Khalil Anderson. We reached out to him at first, and he only submitted a letter that sent it to Katz and saying that let him get a fair trial and all that. And I'm like, I mean, it's the letter, but like, nah, that's not the letter that I want. You know what I mean, bro?
Okay.
So,
So yeah,
it's just like, you know, there was a lot of things. Don't get me wrong. The struggle, if you in the liberation,
we need to call out the people who didn't ride for you though. I think, in my opinion, because like when it was hard, there were people who came through who did support you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So all the people who did support you should have been able to see those people and like, wow, there must be something behind this kid. Like,
nah, definitely. I definitely want like one of the main nonprofits, bro. Is Drum, bro. Desi's Rising Up and Moving NYC.
They wrote for you.
They wrote for me, and especially they're specifically like supporting right now, like just the South Asian Indo-Caribbean communities, bro, here in Queens, and all across NYC, New York State, bro. But it's like they really rolled out from this point they found out about my case. From the time they found out about my case, they've been on my side.
Right.
They the one that helped my mother find a place before I bailed out. They did a lot, bro. They the one that, you know, behind the scenes just helped out with bail. Like, there was a lot of stuff, bro, that they helped out with, bro.
The way y'all got down is you contacted them too, right?
Yeah, well, it was because I was listening to my radio on Rikers Island, and then I found out about this program called Working Class Heroes on that was you know, they had an airtime
WBAI, right?
On WBAI radio station 99.5 FM, bro. So I used to listen to it because they had, you know, certain times they had, you know, they had certain programs that was worth listening to, bro. Yeah. So I was listening to it at that time, and the program came on, and just so happened they was talking about NYC court system reopening and all of that. And I'm like, that's perfect. I'm sitting on Rikers Island. This is what I need to listen to. Boom. I started listening. I'm listening, and they left a number with the Google Voice number at the end of the segment. I called it. Luckily, I got the number written down. I took it. I called it. Left the voicemail, and that's how I got in touch with that. You know, that crew of people with as far as like the working class heroes. They are the main ones that really actually that had the connections, bro. And
they hooked you up with groups like
they connected me with Drum and a whole bunch of others.
Word.
So it's like without me listening to that radio on Rikers Island, and that day, bro, listening to that program, bro, who knows what would have happened to me?
Right.
Because they helped me out a lot. Working class heroes, bro.
So yeah, I mean, basically, after you got after you heard, that was in Rikers. They helped you out with activist groups like Drum and stuff like that. They helped you, support you while you were on house arrest. Helped you get through life, essentially.
Yeah.
And then
at the same time, still.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of politicians who are down for you getting down with you at this time, but there are also politicians saying no, or just standing by the wayside and keeping you away. And there's the Working Class Heroes crew is also has journalists too, right? And I mean, you're starting to build like essentially connections with journalists to write about your case at this time too.
Correct. That was just honestly it was just through organizers, the advocates, the activists, the non-profit organizations, the grassroots-led organizations that had these, connections, these networks already, established and existing, So that was just something that benefited me, and that was just like a blessing to me because I'm like, this is what I needed. I want to get as much media attention, as much press coverage as possible to really, to really just like expose the system at everything that they're doing. So that's what I did. That's what I really started focused on once I bailed out. Just trying to gain as much press coverage, as much media coverage on my case.
And which outlets reached out to you? Well, I mean,
well, I got out the New York Daily News, but like I said, some of these organizations, they've had connections with certain news outlets, certain so I was just agreeing to certain interviews, and that's how it all started, bro. Literally, but like Drum, vocal, I think vocal, Holla, Working Class Heroes. Also, when I got bailed out, I reached out to this recording artist, but he's like mostly into the music industry. His name is Zion. I reached out to him through Instagram, and this is when they had everything up as far as social media, Free Prakash Alliance. Everything was like they was just really going all out for me, bro. And I reached out to the dude, and he knew this videographer, and they ended up coming to the house with the whole crew in early 2021, literally like a few weeks after I bailed out, literally, and they made a mini documentary of me.
Word.
And that mini documentary that was recorded and made by this videographer and directed by Zion. It went viral on social media.
I remember seeing it. Yeah.
So it went viral on social media. It went viral on Instagram. And from that point on, like everything was just on up and up as far as like the awareness of my case, and we just continued, bro, fighting, fighting. And I bailed out, and that's what gave people more like like more hope and more faith, bro. Like this kid could really beat the system, bro.
Yeah. And so. The point I was trying to make is also that like it wasn't mainstream news outlets that were supporting you. It was mostly local and independent news outlets like the Independent, I think the Queen's Eagle.
Queen's Daily Eagle.
Yeah.
The Independent.
Well, we'll get to another article later, but like in January 2022, you went to court. In '88, Andre Medina complained about the rallies outside of Melinda Katz's office, about those protests, and Judge Kenneth Holder banned you from speaking on the courthouse steps. You would have rallies on your court dates before you went in, and you'd have it on the courthouse steps, and you would often speak at the rallies.
Yeah.
And Judge Kenneth Holder in January 2022 said you can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts then at that point?
Man, I was just like shocked, bro, because I'm like, bro, you guys already have my liberty restraint to the maximum ability, I can't go nowhere. I can't even go to the grocery store with my family. I can't do nothing. So it's like, for me to be out here, I have to be in this area. I have to be here for an appearance. So it's like I'm fighting for my freedom. You know what I mean? I'm trying to clear my name and tell my side of the story. The side of the story that never got to be told because they muted me from society. They kept me voiceless and caged in a fucking cell. So I came out and I said, nah, bro, this is my time to tell my side of the story, basically. And this is how I want to do it. They didn't like how I wanted to do it. They didn't like my route, my plan of things, you know? So I felt like all of it was a strategy on behalf of the government, on behalf of the corrupt district attorney's office, on behalf of the system, bro. This was a low ball shot on behalf of the system, bro, to me, to shut me up, bro, and just like, just keep me on a hush from society, bro, basically. But I took it as like a, I don't know, I took it more of like I don't know, a blessing to me, because it's like, if y'all shut me up, bro, then that means there's something. There's something more to this story that y'all don't want the public to know. So I'm like, all right, cool, I accepted it. He gave a verbal court order to me in open court saying that you could no longer give any speeches or statements to your supporters on the courthouse steps. That's what he told me. In my January 2022 court appearance I had. And from that point on, there were still rallies. That even intensified the rallies and had more people come out there. More media coverage, more outlets coming out there to cover my case. So I sat there, I was there with my family, with all my supporters there, still demanding what we've been demanding, for them to just dismiss the case, drop all charges.
And then, well, yeah, another one of those outlets who started covering your case was Hellgate NYC. And so in May, Judge Kenneth Holder called an emergency meeting because of a Hellgate NYC article about the two dirty cops who interrogated you, about how in other cases they were caught withholding evidence and stuff like that. Tell me what was going through your mind at that emergency meeting when it got called, but before it got called, the lead up to it, what happened, what were you thinking during it, and yeah, what did you? I'm guessing you found out about those two dirty cops, that information around that same time. What was your thoughts on that?
I was surprised, man, because I'm like, damn. I just was like, I didn't expect this information to be revealed right then and there. You know, I thought it would have been revealed, but not that soon. So I was kind of like, it caught me off guard, but I'm like, wow. If this information is true, then like, why is this case even still in open? Why is it still in court? If y'all know that this is the reputation, this is the history of misconduct with these two specific detectives. Mind you, there's still other cases right now as I speak right now. There's still cases right now with individuals that are wrongfully incarcerated in a cell, in a prison cell, in a jail cell right now with these two officers, or with with either both of them or one of them on their case, bro. And it's still sad, bro, that this is society that we live in, bro.
So yeah, during the emergency meeting, like, because when I remember I went there and I thought it was a little bit ridiculous that he called the whole meeting because of an article and stuff like that. And basically said that your lawyer couldn't show you any evidence. Well, explain what the judge said, what Ken Holder said during that.
He basically, he went with the prosecutor, the Queen's DA's office, as far as them making like frivolous claims and accusations of me revealing or providing certain facts and information and evidence about the case to press. He went off of their position of things as usual, and then told my lawyer that I can no longer have access to the evidence, to the information, to everything basically against me in this case on my phone. I have to go to his office to inspect, to review whatever evidence, whatever documents, whatever I wanted to review and inspect as far as this case, this indictment, I had to go to his office. That was what he ordered.
So basically, the judge kind of told her, got mad about the media being on your side, local independent media being on your side, and portraying you in a good way and portraying him in a bad way. He had previously complained about an independent article calling him the former prosecutor turned judge who railroaded you the first case. And then this is yet another example of Kenneth Holder complaining about basically local media coverage of you and not liking, and also taking kind of action to like try to stop the media from reporting on you.
See, he definitely stopped. The first step was to stop me from speaking on the steps of the courthouse. He did that. Mm-hmm. Next thing I was definitely expecting was for him to issue a gag order against me and my attorney, and just block all types of communication or future communications with press and media. Mm. That was what I was expecting. Yeah. But it didn't get to that point because
Yeah. Well, and then in June, you finally got your charges dropped after very long, because of a law that says they couldn't charge you with the crimes they did charge you with because you were 15 at the time they arrested you. Correct. And you were the one who found this law. Well, explain all that.
Yeah, I was just sitting on Rikers Island after my conviction was overturned. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I was always just on my legal research grind, just trying to just do as much reading and just like trying to educate and grasp myself with as much knowledge I need. So I was reading through case laws involving like juvenile offenders and charged with felony murder. And I came across this case, and I was reading, and there was this law. The law literally just was like in bold, on the paper in bold there. So I feel like it was just destined for me to just to gain this knowledge and to like utilize the knowledge now. It presented itself to me, and it took a while because the attorneys that I had didn't really want to present the argument that I wanted to present.
Mm-hmm. Ron Kuby and them were the ones who said that eventually the law that would eventually free you, they were not down for putting that forward as an argument, basically.
Correct. Now, if had they listened to me and agreed upon submitting that legal ground as one of the legal arguments on appeal, my whole case would have been dismissed on appeal, and I would have been a free man since summer of 2020. But no, they didn't. So I had to go back to a whole process, waiting on a new trial, and by the grace of God, that my new attorney, Jose
Nieves presented that argument.
He was willing to listen to me. Yeah. Take a look at what I had to present as far as the law. Yeah. The case laws in support of the law, and he's like, "Yo, this kid's right. Let's shoot our shot." Mm-hmm. The worst that the fucking guy, the worst that this judge can do is deny, which he has been doing. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, all right, let's do it. Right. And we did it. We submitted the legal argument. What was it like maybe a week or two before my June appearance, and we had submitted two legal arguments. One was for something else, and one was for that infancy joint, the infancy defense. And we received one response to the other legal argument, but we didn't receive no response to this one. We received it orally in court, of them just saying, "Yeah, we agree, but we still believe in what we believe in."
Yeah, but I want to get to that. Yeah, because the DA tried to say that the reason why they didn't let you go on account of that law before is like, oh, Prakash's defense didn't present that, and if we had known sooner, we might have let him go sooner or whatever. But like,
yeah, well, if the burden is on the prosecution, and you call yourself a justice professional, a justice expert. You're a prosecutor, bro. You gotta be. So you can't. No ordinary human being can just say, I want to become a prosecutor and become a prosecutor, bro. You have to know the law.
Yeah.
So for you to, and this law states, bro, the burden is on the prosecution. So the defense didn't really have to raise none of this. You were supposed to know this from the jump. You're the prosecutor handling the case. You're supposed to know this.
And
they didn't know it.
Yeah.
Well, if they did know it, they ignored it.
They ignored it, yeah.
Which you probably have some experience within the Queen's DA's office, bro.
And then also they said, despite you, being found, getting free on that day, the DA still says, well, we still think he's guilty, but we're gonna have to drop the charges anyway because of this law. How did you react to that?
I was just basically just make yourself look stupider than you already look, basically, because you're dropping the charge but still saying that you still believe in something, right? It just doesn't make no sense. You feel what I'm saying, bro? It's and then they can't really comment no further because what can you say, bro? The case is done. You didn't even have no legal ground you didn't have no sound legal ground to even prosecute me from the jump. So you intentionally, deliberately continue to illegally prosecute me, bro. Then decide to concede and say, oh yeah, we're wrong. We're gonna dismiss the case, but still publish a statement to the public, stating whatever you state. That it doesn't stuff like that, bro. I've been through too much to allow anything like that to faze me, bro. I just overcame a whole life sentence for a murder case I did not commit, bro. So to let a typical politician say whatever frivolous, miscellaneous statement, bro, against me, bro, it's because they're going to have to answer to me now in my civil lawsuit.
Yeah, word. And so, once you got out, you made a call to Ron Kuby. Honestly, what did Ron Kuby tell you on that phone call? Tell the viewers.
I received a call from Ron Kuby.
Right after,
I didn't even know how he found out.
Literally right outside the courthouse, right after it happened, he called you.
I don't even know how he found out. Fast. It happened so fast. Because, the case was literally dismissed and boom. Yeah. I received a call literally 5 minutes after I walk out the courthouse. Right. And this was it wasn't a regular phone call. It was a FaceTime call.
Yeah.
And I'm okay, let me pick it up. I picked it up, and then you was there. You got the video on.
Tell the people what happened. Yeah.
What
did Ron Kuby tell you?
He told me that if this had ever happened, that he would call me and tell me that I was right. But I was right the whole time, and I told him that I was right from the jump. I know I was right, bro. I was sitting there reading this law, the text, black and white, bro, top to bottom, bro, page by page, bro. And I knew I wasn't mistaken, bro. I knew I was correct in everything I was reading, bro. And I'm not no lawyer. I'm not no, I'm not no legal expert. I'm not none of that stuff, bro. I'm just a regular dude just trying to learn, bro. Literally learn. And that's what I did, learn. I taught myself though, bro. I'm a self-taught exoneree, literally, bro. That's exactly what I am, bro.
Ron Kuby told you on the phone you were right.
Yeah, he told me I was right, bro.
Yeah.
He said I was right, bro. He called me and just said I was right, bro. Honestly, ain't nothing that he can do or his law firm can do to bring back the time that year and a half that I lost.
Yeah, that you could have had.
I could have had.
If he had followed your strategy.
If he had followed the legal strategy, the law.
Yeah.
If he followed the law that I presented to him.
Yeah.
Because he could have still presented the other legal argument as far as the denial of our expert witness on juvenile false confession. He could have still presented that too. But they didn't even want to present that one legal argument that I had. I guess because they didn't have the time. When you're unpaid, bro, it's time is everything, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's it is what it is, bro. Yeah, I just know everything ended the way it ended because, God made it the way it ended, bro. He it was all destined, bro. I feel like it was all destined.
Right. So yeah, to kind of sum it up, who were the people? What was the formula that freed you? What was the mix of things that helped bring you to the point of being able to get free?
Man, honestly, number one, you just gotta remain true to yourself, bro. Like, if you know that you ain't do something, man, don't just sit there and just like basically accept wrongdoing to something you know you ain't do. Don't accept and appease the system and their statistic rate, because that's exactly what it is. It's all about conviction rate at the end of the day. And number two, man, for like people that's really like going through it, like behind bars, whether you in a jail or a prison, it's like, even if you don't want to believe in no God or like have any type of high standards as far as spiritual stuff, just have that little tiny bit of hope, bro. Like, I sat there in that prison cell and I said, I'm like, damn, bro, I don't know what the fuck is about to happen with my life. If I'm going to spend the rest of my life in a prison cell, or if I'm going to get a second shot. And boom, I got a second shot. So I just took advantage of that second shot, bro. Because if I had sat there and just allowed the second opportunity to slip away, bro, I could have literally got railroaded again, just the same way I railroaded the first time. In silence, bro, with nobody knowing anything. I'm like, I didn't want to go down like that, bro. So I just would tell people, man, just to like maintain, even if it's a little tiny bit of hope, bro. Just maintain it,
and also build a movement.
And also build a movement, bro. Like, pick up a book, call your loved one, your friends, your family, whoever you get on the phone with, and establish connections, especially if it's like something involving criminal accusations, something involving the system, bro. Law enforcement, cops. Like, equip yourself with what you need to be equipped with, bro. Especially in the world that we live in now. That you never ever gonna feel and experience the word justice. So you just gotta create and make your own justice.
So I'm guessing. What would be your advice for people going through that similar situation as you, right? People locked up in Rikers. How can they like go forward building that like coalition of activists and politicians and media people, and that the coalition that supported you? How can they go about doing that? And how can they free themselves like you? What's your advice for them?
It's number one, you just gotta have the will, bro. You just gotta have the will and the want to do it. Because at first I didn't want to do nothing. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know, what direction to go, in, bro. So I'm like, I was just lost. But I'm like, nah, this is what I want to do now. Because I had the opportunity. I had somewhat of people in my circle to do it. Certain people that's incarcerated, they don't have nobody, bro. So like, it's sad, it's messed up, bro. But it's like, you gotta like, you gotta establish those connections. You gotta make those connections, bro. Because if you don't do it, nobody else is gonna do it. So like, every person you see, whether that's a staff or a program, a counselor or anybody, bro, just try to like make some type of connection and pick up that book, Connections, man. Because that, honestly, without that book, man, I wouldn't have got to make those connections I got to make. And also just for people that's locked up on the island, man, like that radio really come in handy, bro. That station 99.5 has a lot of like tangible programs that provides a lot of like information and knowledge about things that's going on in the outside world. Had I not had that radio, bro, and I wasn't listening to this shit, bro, I would have never found out about the Working Class Heroes podcast program on that station. I would never got in touch with them. And now look, boom, bro.
And yeah, last question is I guess what's life like now that you're free and stuff like that, and how can people support you more? Because you're still waiting for the civil suit. You're hoping that you get some money as, you know, reparations essentially for all the years they took. They took high school and college from you, essentially college years from you. But right now, money is tight. How can people support you, and what's life like right now, I guess?
Honestly, man, life right now, man, it's like I'm just trying to just take it day by day. But I'm really focused on just relocating my family and myself out of New York State. So I'm working on that, and I'm just trying to like also at the same time just heal, bro, because all the trauma, all the pain, all the hurt, that shit don't just go away like that, bro. I mean, yeah, everything's done and said in the criminal courtroom, bro, but it's like it's still instilled, it's still within me, bro. That's something that's not gonna disappear overnight. So that's why I just try to like take things very like slowly, bro. Cause I just literally got thrown into a world that I don't even know, literally. A world that I left that I don't even know. Now with, you know, you got viruses, you got this, you got that. I'm like I said, I'm just trying to just take it day by day, heal with the family, bro. Get them out of New York, and essentially find some type of employment. I don't know. I'm really debating on whether I want to still be like. Obviously, I'm always gonna forever be like in the social justice, criminal justice reform space, bro. That's always gonna be my spirit. That's gonna be in my veins forever till the day I die. And for anybody that's listening to this, man, like, anyone that believes in the fact that law enforcement can lie to people, it's not okay, bro. That they can sit here and legally lie to you during interviews and interrogations. It's called police deception, and it needs to end, bro. So for everybody that, you know, that knows of it, or knows someone, a family, a friend, a loved one, a close one that has been impacted by police deception, support it. Contact your local lawmaker, your congressman, your whatever, your politician, and let them know that, you know, this is something that you support.
And how can people support you right now?
Oh, also, and to support me and my fam right now, there's a GoFundMe. There's a GoFundMe up. It's support Prakash Churaman and his family. And that's pretty much it, honestly. Word.
So yeah, it was great having you on, man. Thank you for telling your story.
One last thing, man.
Go ahead. Yeah,
I just want people to know, man. The government, prosecutors, cops, they will forever be able to physically take your body, bro. But once you equip your brain, your mentality with the tools, the knowledge that you need, and nobody can take that away from you. No courtroom, no judge, no prosecutor, no cop can ever take that away from you. So I just say that to say that there is something called a constitutional there's something called constitutional laws, amendments. Familiarize yourself with them, and get to know them. So in case anything happens with you or your loved one, your family member, a friend, anybody, this is gonna help you, man. Because I didn't know at 15 years old that I had a Fifth Amendment constitutional right protecting me from self-incrimination, from interrogation. I didn't know that, you know. So just please, man, just know your rights. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Know your rights.
Thank you very much, Prakash, for telling your story. I hope our viewers can listen to this and get that blueprint to how to free themselves too. I'm Ash. See you the next time.